I'm Leon Todd for G66. Welcome to another Tuesday Tone Tip. On today's video, we're going to take a look at the Texas Star lead model based on a real-world Mesa Boogie Lone Star, a fantastic amplifier for all sorts of styles, renowned for lovely edge breakup and lead sounds. I'm going to show you how I like to dial this one in, and I want to highlight a new feature that's been added in a recent firmware, namely taking a look at the channel master volume and the global master volume and how we could go about balancing these out and how it's going to change the tone of this particular amp model. So let's just hear this at the stock settings. I have a PRS SE DGT. I have the humbuckers split and I'm on the middle position, so they're both essentially single coils together. Amp at stock settings, I'm using my free cab IR and I'm using the good old London plate reverb in here. Let's have a listen to it. Bit dark sounding, and the overall character of the drive there is a little bit congested and muddy, to my ears at least. So if we have a peek under the hood at the preamp tab, we can see that it's got a pre-mid tone stack location. The only other amp models that come to mind with that pre-mid location are the Dumble amps and their derivatives in there, which kind of gives you a hint of what this amp is inspired by. So what I like to do is to bring the bass control down and to turn the treble and the mid-range up on this. This is kind of going to open everything up. Turning the bass down is just going to cut a bunch of that excess low end, which is making everything muddy. And then we're going to lean into that kind of mid character by pumping up the mids. Let's try it now. Split coil modes there, that is a lovely driven tone. When you switch to the bridge humbucker there, it really comes alive. And one thing that I really like about this amp is you can use the gain and the overdrive control in there to kind of tailor it to your guitar. So the overdrive essentially is a flat gain control. It's just going to give you more or less gain without really changing the character of the tone. The gain control, on the other hand, as you turn it down, you're not only going to get less gain, it's going to get a bit brighter, and vice versa. As you turn it up, it gets more distorted and it gets darker on there. So with this guitar, say on the bridge humbucker, I might actually turn the gain control down a little bit and bring the overdrive control up to compensate for it. That's going to give me even more brightness, but more distortion from that overdrive setting there. Like the Dumble amp models as well, it is incredibly touch sensitive on there. So whether I'm playing with a pick or with my fingers, and depending on the pickup that I've selected on the particular guitar, I can get a wide range of tones and textures there. So these are the settings I've kind of settled on over here, you will notice that on the latest firmware, we've got a channel master volume and a global master volume over here. So this mimics the controls on the real amp, where you have a global master control, and then each channel on the amp has its own volume control. And the general idea is the higher the channel master volume, the harder you hit the power amp section in there. It's like letting more of the preamp through in there. And then the global master volume is more like a loudness control. So what I've done here is I have set up two separate channels on here. Channel A, I've got the channel master volume at 7 and the global at 3, and I've just swapped them around on this other channel. Everything else settings-wise is the same in the amp block on there. Let's just have a listen to the difference in character. I'll go back to the split pickups, and again, I'm on the middle selection over here, so I'm going for that kind of slightly brighter drive tone. This almost has a similar effect to the way we balanced out the gain and the overdrive before. You heard over here on channel B, with the channel master a lot lower, kind of hitting the power amp a little less hard. So more high end is making its way through. We're not really getting power amp distortion or anything like that. That's kind of going to smooth things out. It is, in my opinion, probably better suited to rock rhythm guitar playing there. You get more of that kind of high-end sparkle in there. But if you're going for the creamy lead thing that these amps are really, really renowned for, you know, you want to get that Andy Timmons thing or the Eric Johnson thing, both of which I'm not qualified to do at all, I would recommend setting the channel master volume on there a bit higher. So the way I think about this is you've got gain and overdrive, and you dial those in to suit your guitar. Again, if you want darker tones out of it, turn the gain up and the overdrive to taste. If you've got a darker sounding guitar and you want a brighter sound out of it, turn the gain down, turn the overdrive up. Over here, the channel master and the global master are almost doing a similar thing, but for the overall character of the amp. So this is like the final polish. What direction do you want to go in? Kind of more of a crunch style thing, more of a Marshall flavor, or do you want more of that smooth, you know, typical boogie flavor out of it? And especially this channel on here, if you put something like the Aurora delay after it, and again with this guitar, it is a little bit more in your face. I would probably want to bring the gain control down a bit and bring the overdrive up, and I can like kick this BB Pre-AT in on top of it. I'm gonna have a pretty awesome, smooth and creamy lead sound. Even when boosted and with some delay, where you set the global and channel master volume as well as the gain and overdrive controls on there really does change the overall character of the amp. This is something that can be a little bit infuriating with the real amp. They are hard to dial in, but hopefully this gives you some nice broad strokes to work with if you've got a sound in your head you're trying to go for with these Lone Star models. Hopefully these little tips and tricks can get you there faster, because once you've got them dialed into taste, they really are magical sounding amps. And I can see why so many people absolutely adore both the real amp and these fractal models in here. If you've got any other questions, let me know in the comments section below. If you've got suggestions or requests for future Tuesday Tone Tip videos, also let me know in the comments section below. My blocks and my free IR are linked in the video description if you want to grab them. Otherwise, have a great week, and I'll see you all next time.